How's it going, everyone? My name is Iron Stark, and today I'll be covering what can only be described as the best weapon in Lies of P, the Monad's Rose Sword. To begin, Monad Rose Sword's moveset is incredibly fast and fluid, similar to curved swords in Elden Ring or Dark Souls. The light attack chain consists of swift diagonal slashes that have a decent amount of a lunge to them, allowing for the player to close the distance while attacking. The uncharged heavy attacks can be chained together in a 2-hit combo with a heavy swing followed by a spinning slash. The charged heavy attacks are leaping spinning slashes that hit multiple times. What I adore about the Rose Sword's moveset is that any of its light or heavy attacks can be chained together and seamlessly flow together in a smooth motion. My favorite combos with the Monad's Rose Sword are 2 light attacks into a heavy swing, or the uncharged heavy attack combo into a light attack. In short, the Monad's Rose Sword's moveset is pretty much an upgraded version of the Puppet Saber's moveset, comprehensive and complete, with formidable DPS on its own. However, the most potent aspect of the Monad's Rose Sword is its Fable Arts, which are easily among the strongest, if not the strongest Fable Arts in the game. The Blade Fable Art, Blossoming, is an attack where the player rushes forward with a powerful slash. Blossoming can be chained together up to 3 times, with the final rush providing an additional slash that can stun small and medium-sized enemies. Blossoming has some unique and valuable properties, in addition to doing some very solid damage. It has very good effective range, being able to rush across an arena in an instant, which also means you can use it as a get-out-of-jail-free card if you're in a tight spot. It seems to have some iframes during the blossoming slashes, and the starting animation seems to have some hyper armor, as you can get hit but that won't stop you from rushing forward. That in mind, blossoming has 2 drawbacks. If a boss does a heavy enough swing, you can be interrupted between blossoming rushes, which feels really shitty. And the final animation for blossoming's final assault can be just long enough that if a boss doesn't get stunned, they can close in and hit you. Those nitpicks aside, blossoming is a very solid and fast weapon skill that provides consistent damage. The Handle Fable Art is by the name of the rose, and it is simply the best Fable Art in Lies of P. After raising the Rose Sword in a brief salute, the player will rush forward countless times, seemingly shearing through the fabric of spacetime itself, unloading an absurd amount of raw and stagger damage, and absolutely melting a boss's health pool. By the name of the rose absolutely shreds, and I have to say, Neowiz nailed the assignment of making the Monad's Rose Sword feel like the true ultimate weapon of Lies of P. It is worth mentioning, while you are in the attack animations for By the Name of a Rose, you are pretty much invincible. The only drawback By the Name of a Rose has is the starting animation is pretty lengthy, so you need a decent window to get the attack off. But I'll excuse that, because By the Name of a Rose has some of the best DPS in all of Lies of P, and the lengthy windup is a reasonable counterbalance for how strong it is. As for scaling, the Monad's Rose Sword is a pure quality weapon, with a B scaling in both motivity and technique, making the optimal stat spread for this weapon to be around 30 to 40 in both motivity and technique. Since you don't get this weapon until after defeating the final boss of the DLC, I find that to be a sensible ask. It is worth mentioning all footage captured was with my main Lies of P data, which has 50 motivity and 50 technique. For amulets, I mostly stuck with those that would maximize the Monad's Rose Sword's damage. The Arm of God amulet is a successive hit buff amulet that stacks up to 4 times with a maximum attack buff of 15%, which pairs nicely with how fast most of the Rose Sword's attacks are, and the fact that many of its heavy attacks hit multiple times. The Conquering Amulet is a must-have for any Perfect Guard enthusiast, as it buffs your next attack by 20% after landing a Perfect Guard. The Extreme Modification Amulet provides an attack buff of 4% for every Fable slot active, with a maximum attack buff of 20%. This may seem like an odd choice for the Monad's Rose Sword because you'll want to use your Fable Arts as much as possible, but both Blossoming and By the Name of a Rose require 3 Fable to be used in their most powerful form, so I'll take an additional attack buff where I can get it. The Morbid Ambitions Amulet increases the power of light attacks by 15%, but increases their stamina cost. The Monad's Rose Sword's light attacks don't really consume much stamina at all, and the light attacks are really fast, so this amulet really helps amp up the damage of its base moveset. The final amulets I would use were the Puppet Destroyer, Carcass Butcher, and Murderer Puppet amulets, all which increase damage dealt to puppets, carcasses, and humans by 10%, which should be switched out in accordance with the boss you are fighting. Regarding P-Organ upgrades that suit the Monad's Rose Sword, it's somewhat of a no-brainer that you will want to maximize both using Fable Arts and gaining Fable back, so that you can use Blossoming and By the Name of a Rose as much as possible. Enhanced Fable Arts attack will amp the power of Blossoming and By the Name of a Rose. Lower damage of Fable Arts will make it so that if you have to tank an attack during the windups of Blossoming or By the Name of a Rose, you will take minimal damage. Perfect Guard Fable Charge Enhance is useful for restoring your Fable while Perfect Guarding, and Enhanced Perfect Guard Destruction will provide more opportunities to have huge openings after staggering a boss to use By the Name of a Rose. Fatal Attack Fable Charger makes it so that you gain back higher levels of Fable upon landing a Fatal Attack, and Enhanced Fatal Attack will make it so that your Fatal Attacks hit harder. This creates scenarios where after you land a Fatal Attack, you will likely have enough Fable for Blossoming or By the Name of a Rose, and will obliterate a boss right then and there. The last P-Organ upgrade I would consider essential is Enhanced Fable Callus effect, and that's for when you want to use Blossoming or By the Name of a Rose right now to end a fight. With this upgrade maxed out, 1 Fable Callus will give you 1.5 Fable, which most of the time is going to be enough for you to use your Fable Arts, and if it isn't, pop another one because the Fable Callus animation is pretty fast. All footage for this showcase was captured at Boss Rematch Level 4. In my humble opinion, I really think more Souls-likes and From Software games should have a final boss weapon be this busted. If you're able to overcome an incredibly hard boss, you should be able to reap the benefits of a powerful weapon. Bottom line, let's compare Monad's Rose Sword to Hand of Millennia. Hand of Millennia is okay, and Monad's Rose Sword is genuinely the best damn weapon in this game. It is peak. And, as always, enjoy the showcase.
bring it on. You ain't seen nothing like my brother.
Boy is mine! Mine! Root for me, Puppet!
Ain't nice to the others. Don't you want to play with me?
Oh no! Knock him out, bro!
So this is Geppetto's puppet, huh? Gotta admit, he knows what he's doing. Don't get extra points for fighting fair. Survive and win. Only you were the one.
You're not the puppet I was expecting. Who are you? None who enter this greenhouse may leave with their lives.
Romeo's on the clock, and you appear to be nothing but talk.